everyone, and thank you for staying. After the last talk and the speaker promising refreshments and beer at the stall, people who stayed back are really serious, so thank you for staying. I appreciate it. Hopefully, it's worth your time. But continuing in the vein of blue hydrogen and projects in Norway, I will talk about solvent-enhanced reforming today for a project in Norway. So SLB, we rebranded from Schlumberger a little over a year ago. And we are a big investor in Zeg Power out of Oslo, Norway. And we are helping them scale up this technology. So this is a blue hydrogen technology with integrated carbon capture. And I will take you some of the details on this technology today. So first, let's look at the hydrogen value chain. I know there are many other colors of hydrogen, but if we focus on three of them here today, green, turquoise, and blue, you can see that that is the production regime. In green hydrogen, obviously, we need renewable energy, an efficient electrolyzer technology that produces the green hydrogen. Blue hydrogen, you can either convert gray, conventional SMR, to blue hydrogen by capturing CO2, or you can use a new technology called autothermal reforming. We are going to talk about a third blue hydrogen technology here today that uses sorbents as part of reforming to improve the yield, the conversion, and improve the economics of the process. Thirdly, you could use turquoise hydrogen or use pyrolysis of natural gas or methane to produce carbon and hydrogen. And then, if you need to transport it, most people are talking in terms of converting this to, say, ammonia, right? Or some other molecule like methanol. Post-conversion, then there's the transport and the logistics associated with all that transport. Before you go to the application where you have to reconvert this to hydrogen. And you can look at the applications today, could be for heat and power, could be for industry, or could be for transport. Across all these aspects, process engineering is required, and that's where we feel that SLB can play a big role in helping you realize that. Today, we are investors in green and blue hydrogen through our investments in a company called Genvia in France, and Zeg Power in Norway. Now, of course, in all the shades of hydrogen that you look at, it's not really the color, but the carbon intensity that matters, right? And you see that blue hydrogen gives you an option of using conventional energy resources while providing a really low carbon intensity for hydrogen. So what is this novel technology? It's called sorbent-enhanced reforming, where the reforming reaction and CO2 capture take place in the same vessel. It's new, but it's also challenging, and that's why it's not as widespread as you would imagine. Because we are doing capture in the same vessel, it makes the overall process a lot simpler than conventional SMR or ATR with carbon capture. And we're able to capture greater than 95% of the carbon dioxide produced in the process, and we meet the European taxonomy requirements and any other global emission requirements for CO2. Given that we use fewer unit operations, our CapEx is lower than most other methods. And also, we can come up with a modular design for the smaller plant sizes so that it requires less buildup in field. So here you're looking at a picture of a 1 to 5 ton per day plant that's been installed in Norway, in Kolsnes. And the same plant is undergoing commissioning right now. So why is it more attractive than a conventional SMR process? Let's look at an SMR process at the bottom first. Typically, you will have a pre-reformer to break down the higher hydrocarbons into methane, followed by the reformer. Now, the reformation reaction is endothermic and leads to an increase in volume because the number of moles of product are higher. So if you're thinking about Le Chatelier's principle, this reaction takes place best at high temperatures and pressures. So you need a high temperature, high pressure reactor for your reformer reactor. Then to go to shift reaction, you need to transfer that onto a lower pressure reactor and a different temperature on a different catalyst. So you go through first a high temperature shift, then you go through a low temperature shift, and once you have your product gases here, which is hydrogen, CO2, and carbon monoxide, then you would go to a CO2 capture technology, most likely amine. To get this CO2 capture from a conventional SMR plant then becomes complicated because this is one stream, and they also burn natural gas to get heat for this reformation reaction, which is your other stream of CO2. So you need to combine both to capture most of the CO2 produced in this process. Compared to that, if you look at the ZEG integrated carbon capture technology, we have a reactor in which we have a sorbent. The sorbent is calcium oxide. So while the reaction is going on, we capture the CO2 in the same process as the reforming reaction. The product, because we're capturing this, we're pushing the equilibrium reaction to the right or to higher conversions. So we get a far higher conversion for natural gas in the same reactor while capturing carbon dioxide. In the second, once we do that, all we have to do is regenerate the sorbent, which we do in a second bed, which we call the regenerator. So we are able to then produce blue hydrogen in far fewer steps than a conventional SMR would be. Now, if you will indulge me, I'm sorry if there's too much detail here, but let me walk you through the process. So we have natural gas and steam coming in. Steam's on the left side, and it both goes to the reformer. You see in the reformer, we produce hydrogen. Most of the natural gas is converted. Calcium oxide is converted to calcium carbonate. That's our solvent. So the CO2 is captured in the reformer. The hydrogen goes through to a compression chain and then to a BSA for producing fuel cell grade hydrogen. The PSA off gases, in combination with a little bit of natural gas, is then sent to a burner, because now we need to provide power to the regenerator to regenerate the calcium carbonate back to calcium oxide. The burner is burnt in oxygen because we want a clean stream of CO2 from the burner as well. On the other hand, when we regenerate calcium carbonate to calcium oxide in the regenerator, we get a clean stream of carbon dioxide from there, which we combine with the burner exhaust to give us a total carbon dioxide capture from this plant. So this plant, due to its inherent chemical looping system and the fact that we are able to capture CO2, can handle any natural gas streams with much higher CO2 content like biogas. So, and it has the sorbent and the catalyst, which are the dual particle fluidized bed reactor in the reformer. And we regenerate the sorbent also in a fluidized bed in the regenerator. Maybe I should skip some of these reactions, but what's important to realize here is the overall reaction at the bottom. Generally, reforming is an endothermic reaction in that you need to provide a lot of heat for that reaction. But because we are converting calcium oxide to calcium carbonate, which is an exothermic reaction, the net reaction here is very slightly exothermic. So what that means is that the reformer can run on its own. You don't need to provide any heat to it, right? It's also almost autothermal. However, we do need to provide heat to the regenerator, and that's why we have that burner in the loop that allows us to regenerate the calcium carbonate back. In terms of the levelized cost of capture, we provide here cost comparisons for hydrogen production across 3 sizes. There is the small scale, which is 1 to 5 tons per day. And as you can see, the comparison we've chosen to is with autothermal reforming, which is the technology most people are adopting for large-scale pilots. So at small scales, the sorbent-enhanced reforming process provides you a significant benefit in levelized cost of capture, levelized cost of hydrogen. This diminishes in relative amounts as we go up to the 50 ton per day scale. And then around the 500 ton per day scale, which is to be built in the field, it's very close or has a marginal benefit compared to ATR with carbon capture. Now, the majority of the reason why this is so is ATR used as an air separation unit, and the cost for an air separation unit doesn't scale down as efficiently as you would want. For us, the 5 ton per day and the 50 ton per day plants can be built in a modular fashion, so we always also save on CapEx there. The third reason why we are slightly better off in cost is that our conversion for natural gas is significantly higher. We hope to aim at almost 90% conversion of natural gas as opposed to other technologies. So we built a 1 ton per day plant that's being tested in Kolsnes. That's just southwest of Bergen in Norway. This plant is close to a Northern Lights injection port. It has a natural gas pipeline. And in principle, if you were to set up a large plant here, you could put up a short CO2 pipeline to the Northern Lights injection port there. The capacity is about 1 ton per day. And for now, the goal is to provide this hydrogen for maritime applications or for mobility buses in the area. So currently, the plant is undergoing commissioning, and we hope to start hydrogen production in the next quarter. So there are 3 sizes available for these sorbent-enhanced reforming products. The smallest, as I mentioned, is a 1 to 5 ton per day. That footprint that you looked at on that plant can be sized anywhere from 1 to 5 ton per day. Then there's a medium scale plant, which can also be modular and transported by road, which can go up to 50 tons per day. If you have to build plants larger than that, up to 500 tons per day, say, then they'll need to be built in the field. So with that, thank you for your attention. And at SLB, through new energy, we're building a bright future for a balanced planet. Thank you.